What was my experience working with CAG? So the combat application group, sometimes they've changed their names to try to stay under the radar. So I'm not going to confirm or deny what their names are being used now, but it was once upon a time very much referred to as Delta or CAG. My experience working with them was awesome. Very professional. They take time to plan with a lot of detail. A lot of them come from an Army background, former Rangers, for an example, or Green Berets. So they understand and they totally are really connected to the togetherness and understanding of operational readiness in terms of responsibilities divided. So each guy that I had the opportunity to work with, awesome. They understood their job. They understood the job above them. They understood the job below them, where they came from, and they were really dialed in. What I would say is, from my experience working with them, much like any organization, there are a couple guys, that are standouts, super effective hands and feet skills, great communicators, good planners, good leaders. And then there's a few guys that are, trying to find their way, maybe a little bit arrogant, caught up in, who they're part of, and a little bit standoffish. You're going to get that in every organization. You're going to get that in every institution, no matter whether you're law enforcement professional, general patrol, or tactical, JTF2, CSOR. Any organization is going to have that. You're going to have higher quality of people for sure, and then there's going to be the odd duck that's a little bit different than the rest. Can they still do their job? Yeah, they can do their job. Are they a little bit arrogant? Yes, in some cases, some of them can be. And I'll give you an experience or an example that I experienced at the first time that I was training with a team from Delta. So we're doing a CQB scenario, and we had a team of Delta set up the CQB for us, so it was a surprise to us, and then they went on the catwalk and they watched us do CQB. And then we did the same thing for them. So we did a run, and then we set up the CQB for the Delta team that was working with us, and then they did CQB. When I was running through it with the team that I was with at the time, dug a corner, was moving too fast. There was a shoot, no shoot target, and I released a round into a hostage paper target. And, as soon as I fired that one round, I realized what I did, and I was off the trigger and continued to run my route and clear the room and do what I need to do. And at the end of it, we're doing a debrief, so you can imagine how small I felt and how little I felt in front of, our peers, guys that we definitely look up to. I just hammered a no-shoot target, which is a big deal. We don't take that stuff lightly. We don't laugh that off. And I can count on one hand how many times in training that happened to me, which was not very often. But unfortunately, over the 16 years of my career, in one of these training situations, it happened in front of our peers. So you can imagine how I felt. Not very good about my performance, about where I'm standing, the embarrassment that I'm holding. And at that time, I was a Team 2 IC. My team leader, being a good dude, he's like, "Hey man, shake it off. Don't worry about it. Shit happens." Good dude. And let's fast forward. So this is the scenario that unfolded. So this just happened, and then now we set up the CQB for those guys. They come down, and the Delta guys are running it. Almost the exact same room, almost the exact same situation. One of the Delta guys runs through. He hammers the no shoot target. So we refer to them sometimes as doves. So he hammers the dove target, but not just one round, like multiple rounds. And then on the way out of the room, he realized what he did. So the guys clean up the room, and then they're on to the next room into the structure. As he's exiting, he sees what he did and tears the paper down. So he tears the paper down, throws it onto the ground, and then carries on. Another buddy of mine, who I have a ton of respect for, we're up on the catwalk watching it. He kind of elbows me. He's like, "Hey, did you see that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I saw that." So we don't say anything, no big deal. At the end, they do the run, and then the debrief happens. And during the debrief, it wasn't brought up. So that individual decided to hide the mistake. The reason I say that is not to cast shade on that organization. They're awesome. The reality is, some people will do and say things in some cases that should not, in my opinion, cast a negative light on the organization. It's one isolated incident. So one isolated incident, one dude, in this particular case, does that formulate an opinion on my part to say, oh, these guys are all shit and they're, a bunch of liars. No, it was one isolated incident, but I will never forget it because it literally happened almost in the exact same room, almost the exact same scenario. The difference is when it happened to me during the debrief, I owned it and I explained why. And the reality is, no excuses. I was moving too fast, overran the headlights, made a decision to pull the trigger before completing a proper threat assessment. And I released one round into a no-shoot target. The next guy didn't own it. In fact, tried to hide it by ripping the paper down, carried on and pretended like it didn't happen. So, make the deduction what you want. That incident was a singular incident that had no real negative influence, I guess you could say, on the way that I look at that organization. Nothing but respect for them. It was an honor and a privilege to get a chance to work with them, operate with them, and train with them.